Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and welcome to our Masters promo game, going from Diamond 1 up to Masters if we can win this particular game. Now, I will be honest, this is not the first promo game we played from Diamond 1 to Masters. However, the other ones were really not very good quality games. It would have been just bringing you the video for the sake of what the game meant as opposed to the actual gameplay and what you could learn from it. It was stuff like we were playing heroes we'd already covered. They're just one-sided stomps in a way that doesn't really favor us. So I decided not to bring you those ones, that instead I'd focus on bringing you ones that were good, and I think you're really going to enjoy this one. And also at the end, what I'm going to do, this is going to be a pretty special video, I think, seeing as this is like the end of the prior patch as well. I figured that we'd cover a whole bunch of stuff at the end of this video, talking about kind of our road to Grandmaster so far, as I feel like this the patch that we're currently in is basically going to be the end of Season 2, which ends on December 12th, I believe. So this patch will take us most of the way there. So going into this patch, I figured we kind of sum up a lot of the lessons that I've learned, honestly, from playing ranked up to this point, in terms of mental attitude, and how much of an effect that can have. Anyway, we talk about stuff like this. You can see in the chat, one of our players has gone for smoke, so we're just delaying the picks, which is a bit of a laugh. Which I banned away Malfurion. I think this is pretty worthwhile. He's the #1 healer, still is in fact in this. You can see also I noticed that I had a bunch of whispers that I hadn't seen because I was grinding out ranked games. For example, we'd had the pretty intense ranked games against the pro players coming up in this sort of play session. I hadn't noticed I got whispers during that time. There you go. The enemy team had banned away Samuro. I think that's a huge mistake. I will be recording my tier list tonight as well, so make sure to stay around and check that out. I'll be recording that when I get home later. I'm recording this before I go out to do stuff today. In the morning, early on. So yeah, Samuro will be he's pretty bad at the moment, guys. He's pretty bad, but it's gonna take a little while for that to sort of filter through people's minds to work out and to figure out that he's just not that strong right now. Anyway, the enemy team did pick up ETC and Jaina, which is two very strong picks. A very strong range damage dealer, leaves their draft very much open, and then like ETC, who is absolute top tier tank. I like the two picks from our team then, following up on that, which is to pick up Muradin, who is the other top tier tank, which basically prevents the enemy team from banning him away and then leaving us with a suboptimal tank. Someone like Johanna, who obviously is still very good, but is not as good as we would like. Now we've got to consider the healers. Banning away Brightwing is obviously a pretty good option right here. So there's, again, much like ETC and Muradin are sort of the standout tanks at the moment, and certainly in this patch, Oriel, Brightwing, and Malfurion are the sort of the standout healers as well. You can see right here, this is something you can do actually. Here's a little tip. You can search for someone by their season. Oh, my phone alarm is going off. God dang it. I don't even know why I had an alarm set. Whoops. I think I just hit the snooze button. But running back into this, they pick up Vala. There you go. We did ban out the Brightwing. They were calling out for us to ban out the Tyrande. Obviously being scared of a Tyrande with the ETC combo into Jaina damage. I think we should be fine, honestly, though, against that. We don't have a super vulnerable team so far. I mean, Li Ming is very safe. Oriel should be pretty safe from that as well. And Muradin, obviously, is pretty safe too. So I didn't think that was too dangerous. Anyway, now the enemy team has locked in Vala, and most importantly, they've locked in Zeratul, so they've opened up some pretty scary wombo combos. They've opened up a Void Prison into a Ring of Frost. They've opened up a Void Prison into a Mosh Pit. They've just opened up, you know, there's Mosh Pit into Ring of Frost. There's so many combos that they've already set up, which is pretty scary. So I was saying we definitely want the Tyrael. You can see how he went, Eep, definitely Tyrael. Just because Tyrael is so valuable right here in countering those wombo combos that the enemy team can do. You know, they catch us in a Void Prison. If worst comes to worst and we're all caught in a Void Prison, where most people are, Tyrael, if he's caught inside, he can throw down the Sanctification as soon as he comes out. Yes, there's a bit of a delay, but it should be enough to protect people from Mosh Pit. We'll probably still get hit by Ring of Frost and some other stuff, but maybe people will survive. If he's outside the Void Prison, he can run over beside it and throw down the Sanctification. Yeah, I just think it's a pretty wise idea to have that for just that little bit of protection. Just to keep us safe from that. So it also fit well in our draft, right? We had a main tank. We can run Tyrael as a bruiser. It's not a big deal. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Medivh pick. Not a big fan of that. Looking at that guy's profile, I was expecting him to pick Kerrigan, actually, in this sort of situation. We'd be a very melee-heavy team, but it would have made for a very interesting team composition, a very all-in team composition. Diving in with a Murden, with the Tyrael with Sanctification, and then a Kerrigan on top of that. Li Ming kind of following in behind. She can even dive in aggressively with Teleport herself when she sees, if she finds that she can trust me as the healer to keep her alive. And yeah, then trust the Tyrael with Sanctification to keep her alive as well. We don't actually go for that. And that's a pretty good early trade. The enemy Jaina wasn't even there. So that's always nice. And Vala misses her Q, that's always nice. And then nice little combo from the Murden and from the Li Ming. Gets a big chunk of damage down on the Vala herself. So awesome stuff. Good start to this game, and we'll see how things go. In terms of our solo laners, we have Tyrael, who's not a very good solo laner, but he can do it. The enemy team doesn't have fantastic solo laners either, so that's alright. Rhaegar's obviously pretty good at pushing the lane and surviving. And Zeratil's not bad either, but no one's got like a premier solo laner, which is an interesting thing about this draft. No one opted into that. Murden actually dying at the start, so that's a pretty big mistake. We'll see how things go. Yeah, very difficult. Really shouldn't be dying as Murden 1v1. Very hard to kill Murden, but he does go down. We have Medivh soloing at the moment, which is not fantastic, but it's better than nothing, just to get that XP soak. But yeah, the Medivh pick, I can see where it's coming from. I think he can do a lot of damage, but it's very difficult to play that. I don't really see the point in having another support, seeing as we only have one damage dealer, which is Li Ming. And the big issue for me with this draft is Li Ming needs to get kills to do most for damage. Like, without any kills, Li Ming is not as strong as Jaina, right? Li Ming's damage comes from getting resets. That's where most of her damage comes from. She needs kills to really unlock her potential. Not going to have that or it's going to be difficult to get that without another support. Where someone like Kerrigan really thrives with double supports or something like that. Or Vala could thrive with double supports. Just doing that constant big damage. So I wanted to go to this Merc camp early. Pretty slow getting there. Tyrael does rotate around to help me. Yeah, I would say the ideal thing to be would probably be for Tyrael to stay in the top lane, for Murden to go middle, and for Li Ming to come and help do the siege camp. That would probably have been the ideal thing. But this is what we're going for. Murden does die again to a 4-man gank up top. And that 4-man team is probably rotating through the middle right now. Yeah, you can see them on their way right there. Zeratil's there too. But Medivh should be able to delay. Unfortunately, we don't have Murden. Murden's only running from the base right now, so this is going to be pretty tough. You can see Murden is saying, why do they gank Murden? We're just kind of laughing about that. Medivh trying to interrupt, but it's going to be pretty difficult for him to do so. Getting some decent damage down the Zeratil, just poking him away. There you go, I've got the crown on the Li Ming. And we're pushing in. Our team is very, very split. We've got Tyrael gone in deep. Zeratil comes in from behind, kills Li Ming. I have very little energy, not enough to do anything. And I go down, kill before I can even activate that. And our team falls apart. So as Medivh is saying, don't spread. I'm saying, yeah, exactly. So I think that was exactly the problem in that particular fight. We really don't have a team that functions very well when we're spread out at all. We really need to stick together. It's going to be even more important later on in the game that we try to stick together as much as possible. When we spread out like that, we get super vulnerable to being flanked by heroes like Zeratul, just being isolated by Void Prison, by being picked off, and we're just going to fall apart. There's no real need for us to spread out because we basically all need to stick near Li Ming because Li Ming is the only source of damage, and then to enable Medivh to get his damage off as well. So we really want to stay fairly condensed as a unit, and obviously that brings risks because it's dangerous to do that against a Jaina. It's dangerous to do that against an ETC somewhat, but it's the best that we could do, and that's what we're gonna have to go for. So yeah, I thought that was really cool to see that Medivh had the exact same idea that I did. At the same time, we were both typing it at the same time, so that's pretty cool. Knocking Jaina away. I've ended up taking a bunch of damage. See, the Rhaegar is being very aggressive. No fear from Rhaegar. And Li Ming's aim is a little bit dodgy. He really didn't do any damage there. And clearly I'd overstepped my mark a little bit. Rhaegar continuing to harass. As we clear out this way, our teammates are rotating down. Medivh has a portal down, just clearing that out and then going across. Jaina does catch us with the Q. Actually hits Li Ming as well. Li Ming lands an orb. Gets hit by another Q. Tyrael is rotating in. Myrddin a little bit slower getting in. He gets focused down. We actually catch Rhaegar in our stun. Rhaegar almost goes down, but the missiles don't catch him. Tyrael goes down instead. Zeratul very low. Zeratul with nice jukes actually escapes from that. We make it through the portal just barely on time. The Q from the Jaina does stop the channel on that interrupt. Channel on the interrupt. It interrupts the channel on the tribute. Once again gets interrupted. We're trying to poke them back, trying to stall them off as much as we can. Nice engage by Myrddin, changing it around, realizing that we don't actually have the power to get in there and to do that. That we need to just deal with this as much as possible. Bala coming in, actually gets vision on me through the bush with her Q, so I knock her away. Myrddin with a re-engage. He has restored a lot of health with his level 1, improving his trait and making him heal for a whole bunch of health. So he gets back in. They were not expecting him to be there. He left with like 10% health or something, walks back a few seconds later with pretty much full health. I got caught by surprise watching the right hand fight. If I'd been quicker, could have hit Zeratul with my E and survived a little bit longer. Sadly, it is not to be. Li Ming doing what she can. Tyrael helping her out against the Zeratul as well. Zeratul gets saved at the last second by a chain heal from Rhaegar. Nice play from him. Jaina then following up with her Ice Lances. Myrddin is going to go down. Does get picked off indeed at the end. And this is going to be the tribute. Probably going to the end. Yeah, okay. With Li Ming dying, definitely going to the enemy team. Tough game so far. Very tough game. As you can see, the enemy team is actually 2 levels ahead. They're pretty... Yeah, in fact... Currently, for the time being, for the next few seconds, they're 3 levels ahead as they pick up level 10 ahead of us. Big wave of XP down bottom at least, so that's good. Just checking out their heroics, seeing what they're going to pick up. It's obviously going to be Ring of Frost, Void Prison. They picked up Strafe as well. Obviously Ancestral, and then it's going to be Mosh Pit, which is unusual. Especially for this map where Split Push ETC could be powerful. But like I said at the start, given the Wombo potential of their team, it makes a lot of sense to go for that. Rain of Vengeance would have worked pretty well too. They could Rain of Vengeance into the thing. Our teammates pushing out kind of somewhat aggressively into mid lane. Even with 3 of them, they do go down to the sort of concentrated burst of the enemy team. I kind of assumed from that Myrddin had Dwarf tossed in and maybe engaged a fight. You can see here, Myrddin's actually died 5 times in this game so far. 7 minutes in, which is a lot. He has died an awful lot. So his positioning really not that great. You can see here as well, just looking at the hero damage, Li Ming only has 13,000 hero damage, despite the fact we've had several very long fights as well, whereas the enemy team damage dealers have 20,000 hero damage. So she's done only just over 50%. She's done, what's that, like 60-65% of the damage that the other team's damage dealers have done. So that's definitely a concern. The enemy team is going to capture this. There's basically nothing we could do to stop this. So I was saying, hey, we could get a siege camp while this is going on. Our teammates are in mid lane instead. Not really interested in grabbing that. The Tyrael was doing a good job. He was kind of happy to help out with the siege camp earlier on. A little bit slow getting there, but that's somewhat understandable for like a sort of master's level of play, in my opinion. Here we go. This is the thing we got to be scared about. Watch the position of my mouse at this point, right? You can see the ETC. He's going for a mosh pit straight away. Dodge that with the Crystal Aegis, but we go down anyway. Zeratul, however, having to blink in order to secure that kill. Can't get out again and gets killed by our players. The forts and the towers obviously disabled, not firing any shots. But Tyrael does go down to just the fire power of the Li Ming. Jaina going down as well, and our teammates are on the chase, and Li Ming did pick up wave of 4, so you can see I'm pretty disgusted by that. Was not impressed at all. Basically, I don't know. It's really interesting because we had that game against Mene, and when I checked out his profile, Mene is the mage player for Team Dignitas, basically the main range damage for Team Dignitas. Top 4 team in the world in BlizzCon this year. They've been, top team in Europe arguably for quite a long time, or top contender anyway for Europe for the longest time, Team Dignitas. We got a few very strong teams in Europe, very strong teams with Misfits, Dignitas, and who am I missing? Fnatic, of course, top 2 finish for Fnatic in BlizzCon. But he was picking Wave of Force in nearly every Li Ming game, nearly every single one. So obviously there's something to be said for it. Now personally, it seems to me that in order to pick... Ooh, beautiful play by the ETC. And this is really bad. I'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, like, Li Ming went to clear out the top wave instead of coming to the boss. Again, just to talk about in this particular game, and this does tie into what I was saying earlier, I think that's a really bad decision. I would say in 95% of the games, I think her going top to that wave is the right choice. In this game, though, it's not. Why is it not in this game? Because we have no other damage dealer. She is the only damage dealer. And because she didn't run over to the boss as soon as possible, in fact, she could have just stayed there, because even with no mana as Li Ming, you have enough mana regen to throw out a Q pretty much constantly on cooldown. Yeah, we were very unlucky that Sanctification was 2 seconds off cooldown, but if she had been there, we would have killed the boss so much quicker, we would have grabbed it safely. I really think she ought to have come there. Without her there, we only had we had Muradin, Oriel, Tyrael, Medivh. We had really bad PvE damage. So we only killed the boss barely as the enemy team was arriving. You can see even the enemy team was arriving, the boss had like 1% HP. We knocked the ETC away, and we didn't even have enough damage in that time to kill the boss and cap it before ETC could recover from being knocked back by me and power slide in. We just don't have any damage with Li Ming not there. So she should have come in that situation. But like I said, I can understand, because I would say in most other games, the right decision would be to soak that top lane instead of getting the boss. Because of course your team as a 4-man will be able to take the boss. In this game, no. In other games, yes. The enemy team probably taking theirs at the moment. No, maybe not. They're just late in the rotation. Well, lucky for us. You can see I was waiting in the bush. We're trying to set up I was trying to set up basically angles to protect Li Ming if Zeratul came in, or ETC somehow came in on a very surprising flank. Mostly the Zeratul. Zeratul blinks in. I'd be ready at an angle to catch him. And oh, it feels bad, man. Well, that's one of their biggest cooldowns missing for the next fight. And that's very good for us, because we are 2 levels down. I'd like to be a talent tier down. So yeah, them missing one of their most powerful heroics is definitely fine by me. I will not complain about that at all. But yeah, so the Wave of Force thing, again, the big issue with this is, in my opinion, in order to pick Wave of Force, you're giving up Disintegrate, which is a lot of damage, so you really want to decide that very much. If there needs to be something really important in order to do that. There needs to be something really important about Wave of Force for you to pick it up. Now in this game, sure, we do have something pretty important. We have an ETC Mosh Pit, which is one of the big reasons that you would pick Wave of Force, to give up the ETC Mosh, to stop an ETC Mosh Pit. That's a pretty huge deal. Unfortunately, he goes down just as our heal is coming off cooldown. As you can see, this is something else that's going to be coming through this game. Very difficult for me on the Oriel, because the Oriel gets her healing power from damage. We've got really shitty damage, so I'm just energy starved throughout these whole fights. I was actually caught a bit by surprise there, because Li Ming actually landed a really nice orb, and it went from 0 energy to full energy in the Oriel. I was like, whoa, not used to actually having that much. But yeah, you're gonna notice that we're gonna be very much starved for a lot of that. But yeah, the teammates were giving out to Muradin. I'd obviously noticed as a support, much more so than they had, clearly. But yeah, Muradin was basically dead. He retreated, tapped the well, and came back in with his level 1 talent healing him up. So yeah, Muradin did not play that wrong. There was nothing he could do. They're like a trap. He has Muradin, so maybe he could survive. He goes the wrong way, though. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to die. Could have dwarf tossed away, and then Medivh Portal could have saved him, but he goes the wrong way and goes down. So Muradin is dead, level 17 to just about 15. We still have all our keeps though. But a huge VP coming off cooldown comes down again. That's what I was talking about with that. Bit of an overlap with my heroic and the Medivh stasis. So fast reflexes from him for sure. And Tyrael goes down as well, unfortunately. So that's something obviously with the voice comms we could have worked out better. I'm going to die as well. Rip. But yeah, that's something I could have worked out, that we could have worked out with voice comms, but obviously in this I wanted to say fuck because of that, because that at last minute went so badly. But with voice comms I could have gone, I'll Aegis you, okay cool, I'll Force of Will this other person, grand, great, sweet. Then both people get protected. Obviously you can't do that in a pug. So we just happen to overlap. It's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I was trying to be diplomatic here. Basically, like, this is one way of being diplomatic, right? Is I go, like, oh, I'm not sure about the Medivh pick. Don't know who suggested that, right? It takes the pressure off the Medivh, because he goes, oh, well, okay, the Medivh pick doesn't fit in, but, you know, someone suggested it, so it's not really my fault. Then the person who suggested it is thinking, well, I suggested it, but I didn't pick it, so it's not really my fault. So you're pointing out the weakness in the team comp and making a criticism, but both people have, like, an out in order to get out. Unfortunately, what I hadn't realized, what I'd forgotten, when I was watching back this video to commentate here, I'd noticed the person who suggested it was actually the Medivh himself. So that doesn't work. It's actually just a really big insult. You can see we taking this bruiser camp here. I knew the enemy team had too good a control on this boss. We're really far behind in XP now, so it's going to be really difficult to fight. Once we hit level 16, at least we have a chance for a little while. It's going to be 16 to 19, which is very scary. And then it's going to be 16 or 17 to 20, which is really scary too. So yeah, our mid keep us down. Really not looking good. But like I said, I really feel like we should have picked Disintegrate in this game. We really need the damage, and she didn't pick it. And as you saw earlier on in the game, I said, yo, pick Disintegrate. I will stop the mosh pit. Don't worry about the mosh pit. I got this. Here you go. ETC once again coming in. We knock him away. Easy peasy. He goes down. I popped the Aegis on myself to try to survive. Actually get caught in the boss stun, unfortunately. Getting a bit overwhelmed by what's going on here. Tyrael going in and dying, doing a little bit of damage. I think he should have probably got that in the Siege Giants. Our Siege damage is also pretty shitty. Once again, reliant on the Li Ming. ETC comes in. Luckily, we got a heal there to protect us. Medivh protecting us as well. Thank you very much, sir. And he goes down. Excellently done. Rhaegar is dead. That's their healer. Muradin jumping in. Picks off the Zeratul as well. Now we are on the chase. This is going to be pretty huge. Medivh staying behind to try to take out those siege things. We do pick off the Vala. Miss the E on her, but pick her off with the Q. And get a nice full heal on myself as well. Now we have a tribute spawning down there, plus a boss is down there as well, plus a huge wave pushing in on our keep. The top keep survives with a bare sliver of HP. It will basically go down with the sneeze, but for the time being, that is... Oh, that's brutal. That is brutal. For the time being, it's at least preventing catapults from pushing into that lane. This basically means we cannot take the boss as well. We need to defend those lanes. Again, if we take the boss, we're going to probably lose the top keep and possibly lose structures elsewhere as well. So at this point, it's unfortunately a very nice take by them. Prevents us from getting the boss, leaves the boss open as a win condition for the enemy team. But the good news is that they do have a curse with most of their team dead. So in terms of the structural value damage they're actually going to get, they've basically thrown away all of their curses. This is purely a deny from us, preventing us from taking the boss, basically. That's the value of this curse. And maintaining the push in the lanes. So we're not going to be able to strongly de-push the lanes. We're just going to be able to prevent them from being pushed in. So pretty interesting play right there. Pretty interesting choice to deny the curse. I think you can make arguments for both sides. Just letting it go through. They still have all their forts, so they could. It wouldn't have been a curse for us. But yeah, pretty interesting. At this point, yes, they're probably at our boss. There they are. Hello. In fact, they have it mostly dead. Muradin going in and getting a very nice flank in there. Tyrael getting a nice in as well. Medivh does go down, but we capture the boss, and that is the main thing right there. I get a heal on myself. There's a big chunk of burst as well to the Zeratul, thanks to our level 1 talent, Searing Light, which makes it do damage too. ETC actually at level 20, having Bolt of the Storm and getting out of there. Our whole team on the chase. Nice work. Li Ming picks up ETC just as he barely gets through the gate with the explosion from her W, so well played there. I let one archer minion walk away with a sliver of HP, because I'm a generous god, I guess. Muradin looking to engage right here. It's not bad at all. Li Ming almost dead, but we do have a large shield stored up for her. At level 20, I do pick up the Shield of Light. Gonna give us some AoE shielding and health. And nicely done, we pick up the kill on the Jaina as well. Good aggression from the team. Very good aggression from the team. Like the teammates were saying, okay, I'm not sure about the teammates criticizing Muradin for not being aggressive early game. I think we had a bad composition, which didn't help. I'm really not sure about that. And there was obviously that one time where they're like, yo, why didn't you go in? It was because he was dead. So I'm not certain, but definitely it did seem that his game sense was a little bit weak. He died a lot, and died in a lot of situations where he should not have been dying at all. So there's definitely that as a concern. Don't pop my Crystal Aegis on myself here. I'm actually not in danger of dying. Basically, the Zeratul damage calculated to know that I would survive. So I decided to save the Aegis for something a bit more important. ETC re-engaging. We are looking to back off, though, at this point. So that's pretty good. We get a push in. We take out the enemy fort. In fact, the enemy fort and the enemy keep, I should say. And that does open up a win condition for us, which is pretty fantastic. Basically, if we can take our boss, that opens up a win in the bottom lane for us. We can push in with the boss and should win the game with that. Especially with Sanctification, we can be pretty aggressive. And here we go, level 21 now to 20. We actually have taken the XP lead. And that's pretty good. This game is somewhat even now. The enemy team, I would say, is still very much in the lead. With our keep so low on the top lane, it's basically a win condition with their boss as well for them. Muradin getting caught in a bit of a rough spot, but Medivh coming in and does save him with the protected, plus just Muradin tankiness, eating a lot of that. Unfortunately, a bad dwarf toss into that does pick him off. Li Ming does interrupt the mosh pit this time before we can get there. We do make it through the enemy team and get the heal down on Muradin. Nice protected coming in as well. Sanctification on top of it, enabling us to keep this push going. And there we go, pushing through the enemy minion wave as well. A very bad Void Prison, and that is really good news for us. Don't need to worry about that. Obviously throwing that out, knowing that the other Wombo abilities were down, saying there's nothing left for us to combo that with. We knock the ETC back away from the team into a bit of an awkward position, but he's able to just walk away. And we're continuing to put on pretty good pressure here. There is still a curse thing active, but there's a massive fight going on. No one is going for the curse. Too busy fighting, too busy craziness going down. Tyrael zoning out the whole enemy team, gets protected from Medivh. We're doing a slow retreat. Li Ming is half mana, which is not making too much happen. I'm going pretty low right here. Nice protect from Medivh, keeping me alive for the last few seconds. We have the Shield of Hope on top of me there. Helps the enemy team. Well, it doesn't help them, helps our team stay alive as we push in. Our teammates going aggressive, that absorbs some of the damage. I survived thanks to that Shield of Hope from the damage from the enemy team. Two enemy team members have gone down, and we're pushing in right here. Everyone is on low health, everyone has no mana. Throwing out some heals as desperately as we can. Now this siege wave is actually pretty scary. That catapult doing some damage. We're running in fear from just 3 little minions at this point. Not too happy about that. Li Ming hearthstoning in the brush, but Muradin does pick up the tribute off the back of that. We got portals coming up in a couple of seconds. And there you go. We just about eked the win out of that fight. We're pinging on the enemy boss, and this is actually pretty risky from how far away it is. We got big minion waves in both the lanes. That top lane in particular, that's going to be a dead keep. Tyrael going to stop that. I've kind of realized at this point, this has become simply a scouting mission to the boss at this stage. We can't actually take it. If we try to take it, the enemy team will simply arrive. They'll kill us. They'll take the boss. They'll win the game. Medivh noting the right thing. He's going to scout the bruisers as Muradin scouts out the boss. You can see the enemy team was actually there, either laying in wait with the trap or actually trying to take it for themselves. We didn't actually see it on our camera, but it doesn't matter. This is a nice tribute spawn actually on our side of the map. Opening this up, this is curse point for us, which is pretty gigantic. I'm moving towards the tribute in order to capture it, but the enemy team is running in. Our team is laying a nice little bit of a trap right there. Our team going in, huge polybomb with glyph of polybomb going off. I've got a bit of a flank here on the left hand side. Jaina misses the Ring of Frost. That's pretty good. We knock her back with our whip, getting her out of this fight. Jaina is not in this fight. She's doing what damage she can to us, but we're not in danger. Well, maybe with that vulnerability on us, we're in a little bit of danger. A small portal from Medivh, only cutting across a little bit. Get the Shield of Hope on top of us, giving us a huge shield, helping us survive that blizzard damage. Jaina doing a lot of damage to us, but damage to us means no damage to our teammates, and that is her going down. Medivh actually going up to grab that tribute, so we walk away from it, come to back up our teammates. 2 enemy team members actually go down in the course of that fight. Well played team. Zeratul is dead, and Rhaegar as well. And we are on the enemy team's boss at this stage. Li Ming unfortunately taking a big chunk of damage. And once again, we're kind of lacking a lot of damage, so this is a difficult take on the boss. We should be able to get this. 5v3, this is very much in our advantage. ETC coming in, but a huge vulnerability from Jaina, plus the AoE damage of Vala on top of it. Our whole team is really low. The boss actually hitting me now. ETC comes in, gets a 4-man mosh pit, but we interrupt with the whip. Everyone is so low. The vulnerability plus the multi-shot damage just shredding through our team time and time again. Even with the AoE healing of Oriel, even with the Shield of Hope, that's enough to just get us so low. We actually have to back away from the enemy boss, and that is a whole chunk of the curse wasted. I'm saying Hearthstone to grab our boss, burst our boss, then go core. We have to do this. We have to win right here, right now. We've got no curse. That's our curse gone. We're still in a rough position just around the map. And there's so much danger. There's so much danger here with the wombo combo potential the enemy team has. One Void Prism, we lose the game. One Ring of Frost, we could lose the game. One Mosh Pit, we could lose the game. Medivh getting caught in that and going down to only a fraction of his health. And here you go, we're 25 minutes into this game. We're on this boss. Jaina coming in, Ring of Frost misses, but the Blizzard does damage. Sanctification coming down to ensure that kill. Very much an unnecessary Sanctification. ETC wasn't there. I think that was a solo mission, Jaina, hoping for just to pick up a flank to catch someone out of position and try to turn this around. But a huge risk from her, a big mistake from her. Sanctification to ensure that. We could have saved it, but it doesn't really matter. Just get the kill. We'll take the kill. We'll take the boss. And this should be game. We're pinging on the core. Good call. I like the Medivh, I have to say, had really good game sense. I wasn't a fan of the Medivh pick, but I thought his sense in the game was very good. He was going to the right places all at the right time, scouting out the right things, getting good portals, getting good shields. He was just doing a lot of really good stuff. I didn't like his hero pick. I didn't like the talent picks. We'll talk about those later. But apart from, I liked how he plays the map. I think that's where his real skill was. I think his knowledge about Medivh a little bit lacking, but his knowledge about the game on the whole very, very strong in the strategy of it. Nice repulsion from Li Ming, does knock them back, but Zeratul just blinks out. Vala throwing down her strafe, doing a bit of damage. Shield of Hope, our #1 ability here, our level 20. That scales off damage taken, so we need to avoid it. Now this is the scary VP opportunity we were talking about. You can see he's getting in position. Throw down a Crystal Aegis on Murden, who's caught out of position. I need to be very careful of the ETC. That's basically what I'm watching out for going into this fight. It's Mosh Pit, Mosh Pit, Mosh Pit, Mosh Pit. Watch out for that. He's got Bolt of the Storm as well, so we need to be super careful and spread out. And there we go with the boss on the core. It goes down. GG, well played. 26 minutes, almost 27 minutes on that game. It looked like we'd lost it halfway through, but who knew? Normally near the end of a regular game, we walk out. 26-minute game, we do pull it back. Li Ming actually gets the MVP. In my opinion, I don't think she was the MVP, but she did get it stats-wise. I wouldn't personally give it to her, though. She did play fine. But yeah, I had some critical points. We're going to talk about those at the end of this. So there you go. Master, 351. Pretty nice. There are the stats. As you can see, Li Ming, 88,000 hero damage. Jaina has 142,000. Vala has 137,000. Li Ming has so much less damage. That's why I can't give her that. Here's the talent build. In the end, it ended up being actually a bad talent build. Blinding Flash at 13. So I would have changed probably level 7, 13, maybe level 16 as well. So yeah, I'll talk about those in one little second. There you go. You can see the master thing. I want to show you a couple of things before that. We'll go back to the talents. But yeah, you see our friend was saying, hey, Grandmaster won in Team League. He's not got there yet, but he's going for it. So good luck to him. But yeah, it's been a bit of a grind to get to this. And yeah, we're going to take a few minutes here at the end of this to talk about all that stuff. We'll come back to the talents. I just want to show you the few little things in this video so I can like pause my video for the commentating. You can see 39 wins, 27 losses. Took us 66 games. There's the match history, by the way. You can see we finished off with a whole bunch of wins. This season we had 59% win rate to get here. If we switch it to Hero League, you can see our maps. Battlefield of Eternity, Cursed Hollow and Sky Temple are pretty good. And we got some pretty bad ones with like Garden of Terror, Infernal Shrines. So really interesting. It's very much dependent on the maps. Our friend Nixio saying congrats, thank you very much. And there you go. Let's get back in this video a little bit. And let's check out the talents and stuff like that. And I can talk about what was going on. So here you go. Hopefully I have the talents up here on the screen. So I picked up Searing Light level 1. I think that was grand. Makes sense. We do damage with our W. So it works pretty well. You know, the enemy team, they've got a Rhaegar. They've got an ETC. They've got a Zeratul. They've got a few melee heroes. We've got Again, double warrior. So I just felt like Searing Light would probably get quite a bit of value. Helpless Burst is there to a little bit as well. So yeah, I thought it was a good choice. It's generally the number one level 1 talent for Oriel at the moment. I picked up Heavy Burden then at level 4. Whenever we stun an enemy hero with Detainment Strike, their movement speed is slowed by 40% for 3 seconds. Pretty useful. I thought that'd be a really nice way just to take the ETC out of the fight, or to catch out anyone that we happen to catch out with our Detainment Strike. And as you saw in that game, we had some pretty nice Detainment Strikes, really denying several mosh pits with that, making ETC's life a rather large misery. Now, level 7 was one where it actually ended up being a mistake. That was a mistake. We picked up Bursting Light, which reduces the cooldown of Ray of Heaven, our heal, by 2 seconds. Normally, this is the go-to. Combos really well with Searing Light, and combos really well with basically just getting off all these heals, like heals on demand. Basically, you can heal whenever you need to, and it just gives you flexibility that's very, very useful, and it stops you from capping out on energy. Now, the big issue in this game was that Li Ming didn't actually take Disintegrate, which meant that we weren't actually capping out on energy all that much. We were actually pretty energy starved for most of the game, so we didn't need to be spending energy that much faster. In fact, a lot of the time when I was going in for a heal, I was kind of going, well, shit, I'm doing a tiny little heal, a dinky little heal. I really want to do more, but we just don't have any energy to do more. In hindsight, I would have picked the level 7 talent Energized Chord, which lets us generate more energy for ourselves with our basic attacks and so on, just to get a bit more energy generation, a bit more consistent energy. That would have been what I would have gone for in hindsight. However, hindsight is 2020. At the time, we couldn't have known that Li Ming would not take Disintegrate, especially after we told her to. Medivh also did not pick up the Master's Touch, so he was doing less damage than Medivh normally would. I mean, just going off normal expectation of how much damage a Li Ming does, we should have been okay with this. And then a normal team comp expectation. So yeah, in hindsight, it turned out bad. But at the time, there was no way of knowing really that Li Ming would not go Disintegrate and would not be generating the damage for us and the hope for us that would make this talent worthwhile. So that was unfortunate. At level 13, I picked up Blinding Flash, which was to kind of deny the Zeratul, maybe even deny the Vala some basic attack damage each, maybe even deny a Rhaegar Lunge. Not a huge one. I think there's a couple of other options. I think we could get one of our E talents maybe at level 13 would have been better. Like perhaps piercing and hitting all heroes in a line just to ensure we would have knocked the ETC back. I think that probably would have been a more sensible choice. Or maybe even knocking back further would have been a good choice as well. Yeah, I think Blinding Flash, it was okay, but I don't think it was the best one in this situation. You can see why I picked it, but that's not a big deal. Not a big deal as the level 7 one, but there you go. Then level 16, we picked up Reservoir of Hope, which is your quest, basically. Every time you do a full hope heal, a full energy heal, it increases your max energy, which means that your heals get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can store more. You're not going to have overflow where, you know, you cap out on energy and then your teammates do a bunch of burst damage and all that hope generation is wasted. Yeah, it's just nice. It gives you nice bigger burst heals. And obviously Li Ming can be pretty bursty with resets and stuff, so that would work pretty well in that sort of situation. But in hindsight, I think probably picking up ability power at that level would have been better, just to boost up that Li Ming damage a little bit. Now again, we would have been multiplying a relatively low number in the first place, but still just a little bit extra damage to help out our team I think might have been better. But oh well. I don't know. I don't think it wasn't a huge deal, but maybe not the best pick there either. Again, in hindsight, probably the level 7 one is the one I would have changed most. Then I think Shield of Hope at level 20 was excellent, giving us that AoE protection from the Vala, from the Zeratul and the Jaina. Worked out really nicely, I think. To mention some of the other talents, so again, really critical of the Li Ming picking up Wave of Force. I understand that we want to counter the ETC mosh pit, however, we had that on lockdown. I don't think we ever got caught in the mosh pit. I was being very cognizant of it. She basically, I think that's actually a very important tip. Here's a very, very important tip. I picked this up. I've been watching some Overwatch videos because I want to get into Overwatch again myself. And I've also been looking at them because obviously it's a bigger game than Heroes is, and you got a lot of people making really great content. So I've been looking at that as something that I could do for the channel as well. Sort of the top 5 tips type videos, that sort of stuff. You know, the really watchable short videos. I've been looking at some of them to pick up some tips on how I could incorporate that into my videos, because my videos tend to be very long and very very in-depth and analytical videos, and that's great. But I was thinking maybe mixing in a few shorter ones as well. I still, I am an analytical person, and they're the type of videos I make. They're the type of videos that you guys watch for and that you guys subscribe for. So obviously won't stop doing those. They'll be the main thing we do, but maybe a few shorter ones as well. But in one of the Overwatch videos, it was very good. I was watching and he's talking about platinum players and how to get to diamond in that game. I think diamond is a bit more of a higher thing in that game than it is in Heroes of the Storm. I suppose somewhat the equivalent of Masters in Hero of the Storm. I got that impression. I could be wrong. That's the impression I got. Really don't know much about Overwatch. One of the things we talked about in that was a classic failure of platinum players is that they do not trust their team. I think this applies to Heroes of the Storm as well. At most levels of play, they do not trust their team. They assume their team is going to screw up, so they try to take all of this stuff onto themselves. And I can very much relate to that. But that's definitely what Li Ming was doing in this game. I said to her, I will stop the ETC mosh pits. And as you guys saw through the game, I was able to do exactly that. I was paying a lot of attention to my positioning, always making sure to be in a good position, that I would still be able to heal my teammates while also interrupting the ETC. Now, obviously, I was going into this game as Diamond 1, so I can understand, in a sense, not trusting that. But still, I mean, we had Medivh with the Polybomb. We had Muradin with the Stormbolt. We have Oriel with the Attainment Strike. We have a lot of things. We have, Tyrael with Sanctification as well. We have a lot of things that can stop the mosh pit, that can deny that value. And looking at Li Ming, I think it's very clear from this draft that we needed damage. We really needed Disintegrate just to add a bit more damage, add a bit more kill pressure. I mean, we didn't win the game until 26 minutes in. That's stupidly late in the game. We were just getting owned for most of it because we didn't have any damage. We couldn't get these kills. I really think Disintegrate would have fit so much better into what we had. And that was the needs of the team. Instead of picking the needs of the team, she picked something to stop the ETC mosh pit because she didn't trust the rest of us to stop it. Understandably as well, it's a very powerful level 20. Decent against Vala, very good against Rhaegar and against Jaina, getting them out of position and then being able to pick them off. But of course the issue with that is that, yeah, sure, you knock them out of position, but we still have not much burst damage to follow up on it and capitalize on that. So I really do think that's a mistake. And I think it shows a lack of trust in her teammates. So I said to her, I will stop the mosh pit, take Disintegrate, we need damage, and that she wouldn't follow up on that. I think it shows lack of trust. I think even though we won the game, I think that made winning the game way harder. I think it was a huge issue. I think that denied it. Also, I was not a fan of the Medivh pick, like I said. It did work out later in the game, but I really think, something like a Kerrigan, just go all in, like dive comp. We would have had it would have been interesting because they got like a Jaina, ETC, Zeratul. Like they have a lot of stuff that's good against a dive comp, but it would have given us a really clear and coherent purpose, a really clear and coherent composition in this game. Gul'dan would have been a decent option as well. We got a lot of protection for Gul'dan. He would have generated a lot of energy for me, would have let me heal a lot. Done a lot of damage, a lot of wave clear as well. So there are a lot of options to bring in there. I wasn't a huge fan of the Medivh. I'm not sure why he suggested it. Like, sure, it's kind of nice for scouting stuff out. It's nice over the boss fights and decent over the tribute fights, and you can get the Dusted Disappearance, which he did get at level 4, and I like that, to reveal the Zeratul. So it does some nice things, but on the whole, I don't think it was the best pick. It wasn't awful, but I don't think it was the best, and you could see the issues spanning through that game for sure. Then in terms of his talents, to mention them, he did not pick the Master's Touch at level 7. He picked up the Arcane Charge, which it does increase the damage of your Q, but not by as much, and I think that was a bit of a problem. And then he also didn't pick up Reabsorption at level 16, but rather the longer Force of Will. I think that was a mistake too. I think that was a mistake. Reabsorption is just too good. And the enemy team, very importantly, they have a lot of unstoppable burst. And what I mean by that is like Jaina Blizzard, Jaina Ring of Frost, even her Frostbolts, Zeratul Spikes. They have a lot of damage that they're going to throw out, especially in their sort of wombo stuff, that is going to hit no matter what. They can't stop it. So, if Medivh spots that, he gets a good Force of Will down. Reabsorption is going to generate a ton of healing. And and the enemy team isn't going to be able to play around it. It's too difficult, given the abilities they have to play around it. They can't stop. Like, Jaina can't stop the second, third waves of her blizzard hitting. If Frostbolt is in the air, if Ring of Frost is charging on the ground, she can't go, oh wait, well, you know, they threw out a really nice force of will on that target, I'm just going to cancel those abilities. She can't do that. That's going to do a chunk of damage. It's going to reabsorb and just do a chunk of healing. Would have been really useful, especially for me being so mana starved. Really would have appreciated that. So yeah, I think that would have been better. But on the whole, there you go, guys. That's a bit of a talent breakdown of this game. I thought it was really interesting, and we have hit Masters finally, which is really nice. And we're going to be making this push in the final patch, probably of this season, to Grandmasters. I mean, the season might be extended, we don't know. But this is probably going to be the last one, so I can make that final push for Grandmaster. Need to play more games. Obviously, we're very slow on getting up here, but we will be pushing forwards. For you guys as well, who have been watching this far in the video, you guys are probably like the biggest fans, so I got something nice for you, which is, I was chatting to the Blizzard community manager during the week, and he actually gave me a code for Varian. So, if you guys want, we're going to do a bit of a competition here. You guys can win a code to unlock Varian. Hopefully it works and I'm not being scammed or something. I'm pretty sure it's legit. What you can do though is, if you want, leave a comment on the video and drop a like as well. Why the hell not, while you're there. And if you want to indicate that you want to take part in this, let's keep it a little bit secret. Write whatever sort of comment you want, but at the end of the comment, leave sort of the Nubkeks smiley face, so you know, like the up arrow _ up arrow, that sort of face, or anything along those lines, so I know it's like the Nubkeks smiley face. Stick that in your comments, and then what I'll do is just pick someone at random in the next day, probably like 24 hours from this, when the next video goes live tomorrow. I'll pick out a winner at that stage, and you guys will win the code for Varian. Hopefully it works. And it was for EU, but I think the codes work across all regions, so it should be fine. We'll find out anyway. Be a bit of a learning experience for me, the first giveaway I've done. So it'll be a bit of fun. And yeah, someone can win the new hero, which would be, I think, a pretty nice way to sort of celebrate us hitting Masters. Yeah, starting this push towards Grandmasters. Finally then, to sum this up, I have to say that I wasn't too happy with how long it took to get to Masters. And one of the things I found very frustrating, it was basically like my own MMOR hell. The really important thing though is that it was all in my head. It was like I would get frustrated losing games, right? I get really frustrated losing games because as you saw, for example, in this game we had, I think, a couple of Master players on our team, but of course we were team captain even though we're in Diamond 1. We're getting these, you know, these big personal bonuses. Obviously, we are supposed to be in Masters. We're supposed to be pushing for Grandmasters. That's what our MMOR means. And we're getting that message constantly in every single game. You know, there's games where we got 4 Master players in our team, and I'm Diamond 1, and you're the team captain. I'm the team captain. So when you're losing games then, I found that I just started getting really, really frustrated and then playing worse. It didn't bother me when I was winning games, when I was climbing up. But losing games and dropping down the ranks, when the game is just constantly reminding you, and being team captain in nearly every game going, man, dude, you really should be in Masters. God, you really should be in Masters. Like, you're team captain of these Master players. You should really be there. And I know I should be there. When I started losing games, that would really get to me. So I discovered that about myself this season, that really annoyed me and made me play worse. Like, that would tilt me. So that's a bit of like an egotistical weakness, I suppose. And then of course you'd have some people, you know, you'd suggest something in the draft and you have idiots and they're like, shut up, Diamond Scrub, and you're like, oh dude, I'm the captain, you don't understand what that means. Or just like the idea of like, well, it's a good suggestion. So that sort of stuff would really annoy me as well, that it wouldn't be taken seriously in the draft or in the game, making suggestions even though you'd be the team captain, because people would just go, oh well, you're only Diamond, I'm not going to listen to you, even though you can look at the MMOR and be like 500 MMOR above this person and you're like, please just listen, you're driving me insane. So yeah, that sort of stuff, it added up to a lot of frustration. So we had some very streaky, it was very streaky for me in Diamond 1. It was twice, got to the top of Diamond 1, got to our promo games, got frustrated, and then that frustration tilted so much I refused to stop playing, and we basically dropped down to demotion games both times. Walked away, came back the next day in a proper good mindset, and then just won everything and was like, wow, this is so easy. It was like, one day the games would be so hard and I couldn't win a single game, then the other days it would be so easy and it was like, it's so easy to win all of these. And that was so much tied in to simply my perception of the game, my mental attitude, and how frustrated I was allowing myself to get, and not taking that seriously enough, over the fact that just not being able to cope well with dropping down ranks when I felt that I really ought to be climbing. So yeah, that's definitely an insight into probably what a lot of you guys experience in terms of MMOR Hell in your own games. I don't know, it's one of those things as well that kind of bothers me, like analytically as well, right? Is that when people talk about MMOR Hell, I kind of have to sit down and go, well, are you actually better? Do you actually deserve to be a higher rank? Or is that just, you know, a flawed perception? Do you actually know that? Oftentimes you don't, and stuff. Obviously, I could justify it in my case because I can sit down and go, well, look, here's my hot stock profile. Here's the MMOR. There you go. Here we go. We're team captain. There you go. Here's our ranked points bonus for supposed to being higher ranked. There you go. I got all this stuff that shows it. But yeah, so I don't know. That's the thing. It doesn't matter at the same time because it's about your mental perception of it. It doesn't matter if that's actually there. That if you still perceive that you ought to be higher, that you'll still get as frustrated as that when you start dropping down. Even if, I suppose, even if you're getting like negative rank points or something, it's like you really should be lower if you still feel you should be higher. So, yeah, I don't know. Stuff like that. I don't know if that really makes sense or that's helpful, but that's just something I was thinking about. But anyway, that was it was a fun game. We will be pushing for Grandmasters. I am concerned that we won't have enough time, and it's something that I'm going to have to do at the end of this season and moving into the next season. I just need to play more games. Especially near the start of the season, so that we can kind of keep up with the curve and just keep up with the other players. It's just, we've clearly just fallen very far behind in terms of the amount of time we have to spend playing the game. We've fallen behind other players, and that's a problem. So I need to play more games to keep up with that and to make the road to Grandmaster a bit more condensed and quicker. But we'll see how it goes. But fingers crossed, guys, we are going to keep going with it. We're going to push for Grandmaster, hopefully stay in Master now, and get a little bit better quality games. We did have some good quality games though at the same time, like playing against pro players and stuff was pretty nice, but we should get that bit more consistently and a bit more consistent standard of games and play with some like higher master stuff. I think you get held back a little bit by your rank and stuff, so that obviously our MMOR was so much higher that we were still getting placed mostly with master players even though we were Diamond 1 and being their captain and stuff like that, but being actually in Masters should open this up. And again, like I said, we are team captain like in 95% of the games. This should open it up to having other people being team captain and playing with just better quality teams and stuff. So I'm excited about that and excited about hitting Grandmaster and seeing if that opens up like a higher average level of stuff as well. Really curious about that. So yeah, stay tuned anyway. Thank you for watching, everyone. Been a long ass video this time around. A lot of stuff to cover. I hope you enjoyed it though. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Remember to take part in that competition. And I will see you all next time for more Heroes of the Storm. Bye-bye.